I'm Scottish. A friend of mine is Bosnian, and he married a Serbian. They call their son Trim, which means courage. My friend says he calls his son Courage because as soon as he had that child, he felt that all of his courage had left. You know, I've thought a lot about that since I had my child. The things I've lost. I thought maybe I should call him a whole night's sleep, or the ability to watch a grown-up movie the whole way through. Then I settled for peace of mind. Actress Tori Spelling is quoted as saying that her pregnancy was wonderful, glowing. She'd rather be pregnant than not. When I mentioned this quote to my mother, she told me about her pregnancy with me, which included headaches, morning sickness, onset diabetes, afternoon sickness, stomach aches, and, you guessed it, night sickness. While it's obvious that pregnancy affects everyone in different ways, one thing is the same. That child will change a parent's life forever. Before Fergus, by Laura Ferguson. I was 37 when I first fell pregnant. Well, I didn't fall pregnant, I got pregnant. I was 37. The discovery wasn't the kind of romantic one you get in the black and white movies. I had been touring France on the back of a motorcycle with my husband when I started to feel a bit unwell. Now, a word of advice. If you're feeling sick, don't do it at 80 miles per hour, leather pants on one end, crash helmet on the other, in a country where they eat snails. We arrive back home and I have this bizarre thing where I want to do a pregnancy test. And it's positive. It's a completely bizarre thing because you suddenly find yourself entirely responsible for this other person, and this other person has only got you. There was a lot of difficulty around my pregnancy because 37 is considered quite an old age to be having your first child. So they decided that I should have an amniocentesis, which is this invasive test where they stick a needle in the mother's abdomen and it can tell you if the baby has Down syndrome. But there's also a chance that it will cause damage to the fetus, or that the fetus will miscarry. Now, I'm not totally against risk, but I figured there was no way they were going to do it. I mean, it wasn't the baby's fault that I was 37, that was my decision. That was entirely on me, so I said no. But every appointment it would come up and I would deal with it in that way when you don't want to get coffee with someone, when you go, oh, damn, yeah, the amniocentesis. No, we'll do it. Oh, I can't do this week though. But as they became more insistent about it, I was like, you know what? Can your test tell me whether or not my kid is going to be a jerk? Can your test tell me whether or not it's going to be one of those really screamy ones that just annoys the hell out of everybody on airplanes? Because I'm worried about Down syndrome, but I'm pregnant. So I'm worried about everything. Thanks very much and everything, but no. Then came the 20-week scan. We were told that we were having a boy. Then the lady scanning my baby said that my son had a statistically large head. She told me I was 37, and I knew that, and then she said there were choroid plexus cysts all up and down one side of the baby's brain. Okay, that wasn't what we were expecting. We were told that we would have to wait for a specialist. The specialist we went to see told us that we were having a boy, and we knew that, and then she told me I was 37, and I knew that, and then she said that there was a vessel missing on the umbilical cord. She said we needed to do this test. I was like, Down syndrome. It's not exactly what we'd planned, and I know it's going to be difficult for us and for him in ways that I can't even imagine, but actually, I think there are worse things than having Down syndrome. I mean, Down syndrome doesn't make you a bad person, so I said no. But that's when they told us that Down syndrome was off the table, and what we were talking about now was Edwards, a syndrome that means the baby will likely die, either in the womb or within his first year of life. We had had so many scans, and I'd seen my son. I'd seen his heart, I'd seen his hands and his feet. In fact, in one of those scans, he held his little hand up in front of his body as if to say, "Would you go away?" What did it matter whether or not he had a disorder? And if he was going to die, well, we're all going to die, so we should meet first. He was my son, and he needed me. He was depending on me to make the right decision, so I said no. It became really clear that they wanted to win a battle, but I just wanted to see my boy. At precisely 35 weeks and 5 days, my son decided it was time to be born. I have no idea how long the labor lasted, but eventually my son appeared. But whereas before there had been noise and bustle and shouting, suddenly it was silence. It was like the whole world had gone underwater. The door burst open and people in white coats came in. They bundled my son over onto a metal table where they tried to resuscitate him. I had failed my son. He was depending on me, and I had failed him, and the whole world was underwater. Then, suddenly, he coughed something up and started to breathe. The people in the white coats wandered off, and with my husband standing next to me, they handed me my son. He was perfect. My son looked up at me. He was curious. He was amazing. I am so glad you're here. I called my son Fergus. In Irish, that means the right choice, but it has a different meaning in Scottish. It means courage, too.